A reminder that next Wednesday we have the third day of this whole series within this workshop, and I think it'll really will be the culmination of last week and this week because it focuses on mitigation. And I know we've been getting a lot of questions from audience members about mitigation. So please sign up and participate in next week's webinar. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Bhangar.
All right. So I have 5 minutes for 5 quick recap points. So first of all, the easiest one to all agree on, we're all here because we believe the health burden from indoor PM is important, matters, and is worth caring about. And the speakers fleshed out in exquisite detail all the pieces of this, furnishing numbers on health burden, outcomes of concern, effect sizes, and mechanisms of effect. And on each of these recap slides, I have some thumbnails pulled, just meant as advertisement and color. So by no means trying to encompass the richness of the conversation that went on in the sessions. Next slide. There we go. So we know the health burden is real. We care about it. Why is measurement important? Measurement is important, both right and robust PM measurements, because they feed into our understanding and attribution of health effects. So there's a bit of a circular process here, or the old lamplight analogy holds, where the health effects knowledge is only as good as the metrics and measurements we use to create it. And then, use of the right metrics and understanding of health effects in that sense have to continuously keep pace and bolster each other. And the speakers made that case really well in the dynamic back and forth between those health effects and metrics conversations, speaking to each other. And then, of course, measurement is important because it informs and validates our control efforts. And so that's the big topic for next week, as Dr. Matsui just said, on April 28th. And then was really emphasized that while it's fairly easy to agree on health effects and measurement being important, things get complex very quickly when we get to this question of what constitutes the right and robust measurement. So it's a good thing you had an amazing set of speakers to transcend that complexity for you, to borrow Dr. Nazrov's phrase. In the morning session, you heard about dimensions of complexity related to the health effects side, and some of them are listed here. Need to articulate whether the health burden being spoken of is acute or chronic, permanent or reversible, indirect, direct, either reported or measured, biomarkers. They'll vary by PM metric that is being used to evaluate them. There's differences in effect size, susceptibility factors, and demographics. That gets to questions of vulnerability that were talked about last week as well. And then, of course, interactive effects and, needing to understand how a study was done to properly understand the effects. So this is a pretty complex domain that our speakers really broke down for us very well. And Dr. Nazrov broke down the complexity simplification around the metrics and measurement side. And there are some challenges and opportunities. I'll just close with those. So on the challenges side, this has been discussed last week as well, and today as well, around exposure mischaracterization. And the conversation was really nicely broadened by Dr. Kohler from speaking of exposure misclassification or mischaracterization all the way down to dose and getting that right. And it's not just the exposure side. And then on the metric and measurement selection side, there's complexity to navigate as well. But lots of opportunity, new measurements. It's a really exciting time for measurement of fine PM. So this workshop is very well timed, and opportunities to use not just new tools but new approaches and study methods. And almost every speaker showcased something along those lines. And also every speaker really nicely showcased next week's topic. So I'll just shout it out one more time. It's on mitigation and controls, most of the audience questions we've been getting last week and today have been on this topic. So please show up for this final wrap-up section when, as a bonus, you'll also get from our amazing session chair, Dr. Corsi, the overall workshop wrap-up. So with that, I will close.